Alright, creatures of the night, welcome to Talking Taker, episode 123 of our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. I want to thank you for joining us for a very special round of Dead Man Talking. My name is Alex Doriot, and I am one of your co-hosts. I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, the king of extreme, Mr. Travis White. And Travis, we have a very special bonus episode for all our listeners, our Christmas episode. It is going to be an extreme Christmas as we head to the land of Extreme Championship Wrestling to talk about the Undertaker in ECW. Yes, it really happened. Yes, it was the WWE version of ECW, but it really happened, and it's crazy, and we want to cover that. But also, because it's December, because we've reached that point in the timeline, because we were there, you and I are going to talk about December to Dismember 2006, the infamous ECW pay-per-view from our hometown of Augusta, Georgia. It's got nothing to do with The Undertaker, Travis, but boy, I'm excited to talk about it. What about you?
I can't wait, man. And all this extreme talk is getting me hyped for it. Like, I want to go play No Mercy because my character Extreme T was on there. So
man.
I would love that.
He would have been a much better main eventer for this pay-per-view.
He would have. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to talk about ECW December to Dismember because honestly, when I got the network, it's the first show I watched. This is it. I just had to go back and see it on there. I have it on DVD, so I don't know why I had to go do it on the network, but I just feel like I did. So first thing I went back and watched was this show.
Did you ask for a refund immediately?
Still have the network.
I can't believe it.
Still have it. So, yeah. But I've only seen this match that one time live and maybe once on DVD and maybe once when I got the network. So I'm excited to watch it. Again, I use excited a little loosely, but I'm excited to watch it here with you again.
Well, we were extremely excited 13 years ago and then extremely disappointed as soon as the pay-per-view was over. We're going to get to all that. We're going to share some fun stories from being there live, and then we're going to do a watch-along, not of the whole pay-per-view, so don't turn the podcast off yet, but we're going to talk about that main event, the Extreme Elimination Chamber with Rob Van Dam, ECW Legend Test, ECW Legend Bobby Lashley, Hardcore Holly, The Big Show, and CM Punk. Just a colossal cluster of a match. And then, like we said, we are going to...
who was supposed to be in the match.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what we did before the show, what happened after the show, all the wrestlers we ran into and had some legendary moments and conversations with. And then...
It really was a night to remember.
Oh, man, that's why it's been circled on the calendar this whole time we've done this podcast. We got to do a December to Dismember episode. And,
yeah.
We're going to loosely tie it into The Undertaker. We talked about The Undertaker, Mean Mark Callis in WCW, so this will be a companion piece to that. We'll talk about The Undertaker in ECW when he competed against The Big Show in 2006, and then when he teamed up with Kane against the ECW, I'll say it, legendary ECW tag team of Miz and Morrison, one of the bright spots of the ECW on Sci-Fi run. We'll get to all that, Travis, but I know there's so many ECW fans out there. ECW, to this day in 2019 holds a special place in so many fans' hearts. 18 years after the original closed up shop. But before we jump into the Undertaker stuff and December to Dismember stuff, Travis, what are your earliest ECW memories just as a wrestling fan? Like, when did you first hear of ECW and when did you first watch it? Who are some of your favorite ECW extremists or ECW originals?
Well, when I started getting back into wrestling, what was that, fifth or sixth grade or whatever? Obviously, it really took off when I became friends with you and everything. We've covered all that on the show, but around that same time, I had some buddies at church that really were into wrestling as well. And my one particular friend named Jared, he loved ECW. He would always talk about it, and like we'd be, fake wrestling at church and stuff. And he would like take thumbtacks and like stick them in his arm and stuff like that. And he'd be like, "Oh, I'm like Cactus Jack, and I'm like Terry Funk and stuff like that." And I'm like, "What? Like, what are you doing?" And so he would talk to me about the barbed wire matches. So like he had some tapes again back then. We had tapes, and so he let me borrow some of those. So that's the earliest I can remember. I can't recall the first like show I watched, but I do know that. I mean, once I got back into it and everything, I was there watching it on Scramble Vision as I could on pay-per-view, trying to listen to the show, and definitely reading the recaps and reading what happened. And I remember some of my favorite guys from the beginning. My buddy Jared was telling me about RVD, and how he had held the TV title for like over a year and all that stuff. So just really fall in love with RVD, Jerry Lynn. Those two are two of the best, man. And Raven, I've been a Raven fan in WCW, so I love this guy. And so I went back and watched his ECW stuff and just really fell in love with the genesis of the Raven character. And then to top that all off, the storyline between him and Tommy Dreamer is still one of my favorite storylines in all of wrestling. I still think it's perfect. There's not a lot of long-term storytelling anymore, but that was long-term storytelling. Obviously, Sandman, he's great. He's a terrible wrestler, but he's a great gimmick. But those guys were great, man. I loved all those. And then at the end of ECW, my boy, Rhino. One of my favorites.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
what about you?
My earliest ECW memory, we talked on some of our early episodes about reading wrestling magazines in the grocery store and just camping out there and flipping through there. That's when I remember reading about ECW and seeing pictures of it. Mm-hmm. I remember like two pictures very specifically. One was of Raven, and he's like on his knees doing that Raven Jesus Christ pose. Yeah. And he's got blood all over his face. He's got tape on his wrist. And I looked at that picture. I was like, first of all, that's Johnny Polo. What the heck happened to Johnny Polo? What is going on? And secondly, this guy looks like he was just in a war. Like, what is? I've never seen anything like this in wrestling before. It just blew my mind. And then another one, not as violent and as extreme as that, but it just kind of blew my mind too. I remember seeing a picture from one of the first triple threat matches that they had. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Shane Douglas was in it and two other guys, but they were doing the triple sleeper spot. So 3 guys in a sleeper hold, and that was just the most fascinating thing to me as like a 10-year-old. Like, because wrestling was always just one-on-one. One guy in the ring against another guy. Even a tag team match is still just that you would like that spot. Like the 3 guys, they're all doing a move. Like what? That, like I could not comprehend that, which is hard to believe for wrestling nowadays, where you have a triple threat match every week. But that was just so innovative to me, and I wanted to see that. Like I had to see what that might be. So similar to you, man, I had a friend at church. I think his name was Dwayne. I don't remember exactly. Like we weren't close friends.
Johnson?
Not The Rock Johnson. He's a little bit older. But we traded some wrestling tapes, and he ended up giving me a copy of ECW Barely Legal, which I still have his copy of it in my parents' attic somewhere.
Shout out to Dwayne.
Shout out, Dwayne. Appreciate it, bud. And yeah, dude, that was the first time I saw a full ECW show. I definitely saw him like flipping channels, trying to find him, like the ECW TV show on syndicated TV. It was like I could never. It seemed like it was never like on the same channel at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'd watch it one week at like 1 a.m. and then remember to tune back in, and it wasn't there anymore. I was like, "What?"
Yep.
That's what it seemed like. I don't know. But so I saw the TV show a few times, but then that Barely Legal pay-per-view, and I know me and you, we watched it together too. Eventually, at one point, I remember bringing it over to your house and watching that with you. And getting some of those DVDs that they put out, like compilation DVDs at the time.
Yeah, I have
just
those
so
VHSs.
different.
I have those VHSs. It's I'll find them and put them on our social media. But there's 3 different ones, but they just had all these matches I'd heard of and read about. But again, they didn't put out seasons of Raw and SmackDown and stuff back then, like on a box set or ECW. You had to hopefully wait and get a compilation disc or compilation VHS. So I have those first 3 that they put out, and but they had all these iconic matches and matches that I'd read about of guys that I grew to love in WCW or WWE, like Chris Jericho. Now he's one of the ones when I first heard of ECW, and I love Jericho, but I went back and watched as much of his stuff as I could. Watching Eddie and Dean and Psychosis and Rey Mysterio, just all those guys, but they were all on these compilation VHSs that they had. So all that was really cool, and just seeing the Pit Bulls and the Eliminators and stuff like that, just guys that I loved in WCW that I didn't. That came from ECW, and just seeing their early stages is really cool. And then another fond memory, real quick, of ECW is when it came back to TNN. We watched the first episode at your house, in your bedroom, and in 1999, and that was the night that Raven came back and won the tag team titles with Tommy Dreamer, and it was the Dudley's last night on ECW. And I remember you and I just marking out for Raven coming back, and it was just awesome, man. I just loved seeing that, and again, that was a piece of the story of the Raven Tommy Dreamer storyline, so it was really cool.
Yeah, so if you hear my dogs in the background, I'm in the living room tonight recording since we're doing our watch along, and so that gagging that you heard was my dog coughing, not me gagging at your story, Travis. So.
Oh, I thought it was Balls Mahoney.
No, we'll get to him in a little bit. He plays an important part in this night for us. But,
he does.
Yeah, man, ECW and TNN, I remember watching that as well. The later days of ECW talked about Rhino. Mike Awesome was the other guy.
Love Mike Awesome. Yes.
Oh yeah, that was one of our boys that we loved to watch. And
I love Cyrus as the network. That storyline was great. Candido, loved that. Corino, loved him.
And then you had ECW, and then Roller Jam, and then Monster Jam on Friday night. Dude, couldn't beat that.
Adrenaline night. Yeah.
And, I mean, I'd be remiss without mentioning the ECW action figures, dude. They had some of my favorite action figures from that time. I didn't have all. I had Shane Douglas, I had Taz, RVD, Chris Candido. They were got big pushes in my figure fed.
I think I had all 4 of those. And did I have a Rhino? I don't know if I ever had a Rhino.
I feel like you had a Rhino.
I think I had a Rhino, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, definitely had those.
I think you had Sabu, too.
I had Sabu as well. Yeah, you're right. So that was good stuff. Yeah, I love those figures back then. They just don't get a lot of play online. I don't think so. But anyway,
well, like we said, our podcast is devoted to every single Undertaker pay-per-view match. That's what we're here to talk about. No pay-per-view matches for Undertaker in ECW. A couple of TV matches in the rebooted ECW. But one other question before we jump into there, Travis. I want you to imagine a world where The Undertaker somehow crossed over into the original ECW. The ECW and WWE had a working relationship. A bunch of guys kind of crisscrossed over there, but none to that magnitude of The Undertaker. But would have been amazing if it happened. Or, I don't know, maybe there's a world where in 1999 when he leaves and takes that break before he becomes the Biker Taker, for some reason he jumps over to ECW for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Who do you think, maybe 2 or 3 guys that would have been some of the coolest ECW opponents for Undertaker to face?
3 of them stand out to me just off the top of my head, and one you might laugh at, but 911. That guy had a gimmick. But that guy, he was terrible in the ring. But what a gimmick, man! And like seeing him up against Taker, it may not have been a 5-star classic, but seeing both those like unbeatable forces together, that might have been pretty neat. I think that would have been pretty cool.
I mean, 2 Masters of the Chokeslam going against it.
Exactly.
All right.
So I would have taken that. That's number 1. Mike Awesome. Would have loved that. I don't know that he was around that early, but I'm just saying if at some point he could have gone in there, I would have loved to see him because there's both 2 big men that can move and fly.
Oh, man.
And
I
can
wasn't
both
expecting
bump
that
for each other.
Oh, yeah.
And then lastly, I would love to see Jerry Lynn because some of our favorite matches we've covered, are X-Pac, right? X-Pac and Undertaker. So seeing someone like Jerry Lynn, who's just like an X-Pac, but even better probably in the ring, just having him in there bumping and feeding and just doing some of his stuff against Taker, those are three that really stand out to me that I would love to have seen.
Wow, you went with three I was not at all expecting. I like that.
Well, I didn't want to go with the guys that you think of. But anyway, what about you? Three guys?
I went with the guys you'd think of, man, like Raven. I mean, that to me, that's like the number one because,
oh, yeah.
I mean, in-ring would have been good, but just imagining that Raven character and what he could have done, mind games with The Undertaker, and how Paul Heyman could have explored that in like a 97, 98 ECW would have been incredible. You know, RVD, obviously his Undertaker matches were some of our favorites in the entire podcast that we've covered on here. So seeing him 97, 98 RVD against Undertaker with like no handcuffs on them would have been something incredible. I think Shane Douglas, storyline wise, could have done some cool stuff with Undertaker. Bam Bam and his ECW run, you know, them could have been off the chain. And then I think maybe my number one, Raven might be number one, but just like an off-the-chain Sabu against Undertaker match. Just off the rails, off the walls, peak ECW Sabu against Undertaker. I mean, just imagining the spots those guys could have done with each other. You think Undertaker and Mick Foley did some wild stuff. Just imagining what 98, 99, 97 Sabu could have done. Just gets me excited thinking about it.
I don't know if Taker would have stepped in a ring with that maniac.
Maybe not.
He's probably too smart. But yeah, that would be interesting. No, I think selfishly, my go-to would always be Raven because he's my favorite ECW character. But I was just trying to think a little bit outside the box there with my choices there. But they made for some good matches. But yeah, all those you said I agree with. Those would definitely have been good encounters with him. So they've been fun. It's fun to think about.
It is, man. It's fun to imagine. I'm just picturing Paul Heyman taking like a 2000 era Undertaker, that biker Taker, like a more realistic guy, like that. What he could have done with that in that ECW environment could have been something really special. But obviously, that's just a fantasy. A lot of people's fantasies became reality when ECW came back to life in 2006. I know you and I were both stoked for it. We watched it till the day it died, pretty much in 2010. Although you could say it put one foot in the grave here with ECW December to Dismember. Obviously, we don't have to rehash all the problems and issues with the WWE version of ECW. I think everyone knows all the myriad reasons why it never clicked, but it did provide us with something interesting. Even though it wasn't quite the real thing, we did get The Undertaker and ECW twice. We're going to analyze those two matches here up next. The first one took place on July 18th, 2006. We covered it on the podcast in brief a few weeks ago on our Great American Bash 2006 episode, if you want to listen back to that one in the archives. So we're on the road to what we were thinking was Undertaker Great Khali in a Punjabi prison match. It became Undertaker Big Show inside the Punjabi prison, so we ended up getting a little preview of it on this episode of ECW on Sci-Fi. But man, it's wild because we're just a month into ECW on Sci-Fi, and we're seeing the fact that last week on the show, ECW champion The Big Show had this brutal match with Ric Flair, and a week later now he's facing the freaking Undertaker on ECW. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, that's right there. It just tells you how snake bit this whole experiment was from the get-go. I mean, again, I mentioned this when we covered this briefly. It was that on July 4th is when RVD loses the title to Big Show. So he'd won him from, what was it? He beat Edge and he beat Cena at One Night Stand, and then got awarded the ECW title like on the first episode of ECW on Sci-Fi. And then like a week later or whatever it was, he loses because of his, he gets caught with pot or whatever. And then, the next week it's Ric Flair and Big Show, and it's fun and it's bloody, but like, that's not ECW, man. They should have put anybody else in there. And I understand the idea behind it from Vince McMahon's standpoint, but he didn't have any patience to even let it breathe. I mean, I understand the RVD screwed up, but like give it to somebody else that's ECW and let them run with it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It sucks.
I didn't even mind Big Show as champ, because that's a pretty. I mean, I thought Big Show did a great job as champ in that situation, and he's a heel.
He's a believable champion for anybody. He's huge.
Right. Obviously, you hate him because he's not ECW, but
exactly.
The problem is when you got Big Show versus Ric Flair, Big Show versus Undertaker, Big Show versus Batista.
Yep.
I mean, not even that those are like if you spread those out and did like one of those in June, and then Undertaker comes in October. Batista comes in like special attractions, but that was like 3 weeks in a row. It's just another Raw or SmackDown. It's not ECW anymore. As extreme as you make it, it's not ECW.
Right, exactly. Well, this night has another thing that's not ECW, but it's trying to be, is Kevin Thorne and Ariel, and they're reading tarot cards in the back, and she predicts, pulls a death card out for Big Show, basically saying he's going to die tonight with his match against the dead man.
Ariel, what does the future hold for the Big Show's title reign?
Look at that. It's the death card.
So, I say what you will about Kevin Thorne and Ariel and the whole sci-fi thing, but I appreciated the fact that they were doing something different. I mean, nobody was doing anything like this, so I appreciated the fact they did something different. And again, I try to give the benefit of the doubt with stuff like this, and we'll get into that too when we get to the pay-per-view itself. But I try to give benefit of the doubt and let it see where it goes. But it did die a slow death in front of our faces. But it's what it is.
Yeah, that was the thing that died the death, not the Big Show. Kevin Thorne, his career. our old friend Mordecai. But yeah, man, it's certainly not the worst thing about the new ECW. Mike Knox.
No.
But
zombie.
Our main event is Big Show and Undertaker here. ECW champion Big Show comes out first, and then after a commercial, we see the Undertaker making his first ever ECW appearance, and it is surreal, dude. We'll keep saying it's not the real ECW, but still seeing him come out through that brick and fence entryway. The entrance is like literally in the middle of the crowd. Man, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it is, and it's neat that they went to those lengths to make it semi-authentic, even though it wasn't the real thing. It's just they did. I do appreciate that Vince allowed that to happen. So, and yeah, it's weird seeing him come out like that, and just very surreal. And to hear Joey Styles calling a match for the Undertaker, because I don't think was he on Raw. I guess he had been on Raw before this, but Taker's been on SmackDown, so he wasn't calling his matches or anything. So it's just really, really cool. And this is Taker's first match back since Khali had squashed him at Judgment Day. So that's neat, too.
Well, he and Big Show go right at it, just throwing hands for the first few minutes. Lots of punches, but Big Show ends up standing tall. Undertaker's doing a great job of trying to continue to make Big Show look like a big monster out here. He's having a hard time taking him down, and Big Show's throwing punches and kicks and headbutts. Man, he is spamming the headbutt on this night.
Yeah, and Taz says, it must feel like getting hit in the head with a helicopter. So, just don't even know.
What did we make fun of him for saying? Like hitting somebody with a crock pot or something? That was a few weeks ago. I don't know.
Yeah, frying pan or something. Yeah.
Something absurd.
Crock pot.
A wok. It was a wok.
A wok. Like getting hit in the head with a wok. Well, now we've escalated to helicopter.
A helicopter. So, jeez.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, yeah, like you said, Taker can't really take Show down. That's kind of a neat story they're telling. And then they go to commercial. Taker gets dumped over the outside. And then coming back from that, and Taker hits an apron stunner right as we come back to the action. So that's, classic Undertaker. He's been doing that move since 91, seems like. So
the crowd's into it. They're chanting for Taker. He's trying to chop down the Big Show. But, again, the story of the match, Big Show is just too powerful. He takes Undertaker down again with some headbutts and clotheslines, and then Joey Styles gives us the line of the night as they head outside, and Show sends Undertaker into the steps, and Joey Styles informs us that.
And when Steel meets Skull, Skull is never going to get the better of that exchange.
You know, the old saying that we all know.
Oh, so is that a thing?
Yeah, it's the old saying.
Okay. Well, one thing that bothered me about this is that the referee. Okay, it's Mickey J, which doesn't bother me, but he's counting the count out. Like, why is there? That's another thing. It's like, why is there a count out in an ECW main event match? Like, that's
right.
Part of the appeal of ECW is that, like, it was like Outback, man. There's no rules, just right. It was just, that's how it was. Is that still their slogan, or is that just from 2006?
Yeah, I mean, this main event was like the Outback Bowl.
Yeah.
Basically.
No rules, just right. But anyway, yeah, I just didn't like that attention to detail there. Those countouts in ECW, and I don't know, it just bothered me. But it was good to see Mickey J again because I hadn't seen him on TV in a long time.
That's true. That's true. And he gets intimidated by the Undertaker here later on. Undertaker and Big Show kind of do the old yay boo punches. The old indie spot. And Taker chokes Show in the corner. He does that ref intimidation on Mickey J. He's starting to fire up. Hits a DDT on Big Show for a 2 count. Starts going to his Moves of Doom, but Big Show's going to stop him on the old school attempt.
Oh, yeah, he punches him, and then he's going to get up there, and Big Show's going to superplex Taker off the top rope, and they both bounce off the mat when they hit. Watching the guy the size of Taker bounce off the mat is pretty scary looking, honestly. So
yeah, we've seen him take some big old bumps here in 2006.
Yeah, we have.
Big Show goes for a lazy cover and doesn't hook the leg, and so Undertaker sits up out of it. And then Undertaker goes to chokeslam Big Show, but Big Show goozles Undertaker at the same time. Big Show headbutts Taker down and goes for a Cobra Clutch that the announcers keep calling a sleeper hold, which is not the same thing.
No, yeah.
But somehow Undertaker reverses it and turns it into old school.
Yeah, he's got him in like the $1 Million Dream or whatever, right? Like a Cobra Clutch, and Taker is facing the turnbuckle, and I thought they were about to go for the spot for like Brett and Austin, and was that Survivor Series '96?
Yeah.
But instead, Taker like walks up the turnbuckle, and he has Show's arm from the Cobra Clutch, and he just spins around, and it's old school somehow. It was pretty neat to see the way they innovated that. But he then knocks Big Show out of the ring, and then here comes a steaming pile of Kali making his way down.
The Great Kali, as Taz calls him on this night.
Lassie.
Him and Daivari make their way out, and Undertaker goes right after him, man. He sends Skull into Steel, and as we know, Skull never wins that matchup. And nails Kali and Big Show with some chair shots, and the ref calls for the bell and throws this one out. Again, It's freaking ECW, and they're disqualifying him for a chair shot here, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, like you said, DQ, and then Taker's getting the table ready to put them through, but the two big giants overpower him, and they wound up double choke slamming him through the announce table. Kali puts his foot on the Big Show and as the show goes off. So he raises his hands, and again, this is the build up to the Punjabi prison, which is supposed to be this Sunday after this, I believe.
Yeah. We do get a vintage oh my god from Joey Styles too as they go through the table.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!
So Undertaker does get a classic Joey Styles OMG call on there. But yeah, that's, I would say, the more famous of Undertaker's 2 ECW appearances. I think a lot of people remember that one. Everyone was still pretty locked in with WWE, ECW at that point, but I think a lot of people forget that he had another match on the ECW brand 2 years later on April 15th, 2008. I know
tax day.
Oh. Wait a minute. Is this against IRS?
No.
Oh, thank goodness. I was about to turn this thing off.
What's tax day in London? I don't know, but the
maybe
tax day here in America.
Avoiding their taxes by going over to London on tax day.
No taxation without representation.
That's why they booked this show, man.
Yeah, maybe so.
But yeah, April 15th, 2008, London, England. It's So much has changed in ECW. Obviously, a lot of that started with December to Dismember, but there's no more separate ECW set for this show. They're just on the same old Raw, SmackDown set. We've moved into HD for the first time that we've covered on this show.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys are different. The whole brand is different. And this episode is going to kick off with, sadly, tragically, the loss of the ECW lead announcer, Joey Styles. And we're going to get quite the replacement for him.
Yeah, Joey Styles tells us that, he's leaving the ECW announce team and he's headed to WWE.com, which was true. I mean, that's not a false thing. He was literally headed there and he stayed there for years. 2 or 3 years ago he got fired, I think. But anyway, he was there for, probably a decade doing that. But he's going to introduce his replacement. I will not say it's a worthy replacement, but it is a replacement. And his name, I can't believe we're about to say this guy's name. This is Mike Adamle.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
Jamaican me crazy. Mike Adamle, dude. Jeff Harvey himself.
Jeff Harvey. It's like if your doctor's like, oh, we're going to take you in and do a hip replacement, but instead we're just going to put in like a dog bone, like as a hip. That's what you're replacing my hip with, is a dog bone.
Is that an analogy that he made?
No, it's one that I'm making right now. In the spirit of Mike Adamle.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Man, I love Mike Adamle on American Gladiators.
Right. Yes. When he was 40 years younger.
Oh, man.
He's like 60 here.
Yeah,
or
he
something.
is. Sadly, we've found out in later years that he does have CTE and from his years playing football, and that may have affected some of his commentary skills during this time, so it's hard to make fun of, but yeah, we can make fun of it anyway because we didn't know.
Well, we didn't know at the time, so it's fine to make fun of.
Fine.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, like you said, this show is in a large arena, man. It's crazy to see, and so we get a recap here of Kane and Chavo's contract signing for Backlash. They're going to go at it at Backlash. And do you remember that quote unquote match they had at WrestleMania that year? Like 8 seconds long.
Kane is the ECW champion on this episode of ECW. And this is the match of champions. Kane and the world champion, The Undertaker, who's the SmackDown champion, against the SmackDown Tag Team champions, who are on the ECW brand, The Miz and John Morrison.
Duh.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Whatever. We're not going to try to make sense out of it. We're obviously jumping ahead in our timeline a little bit, so we don't fully have all the context of this, but we wanted to tie both of these ECW matches together, so we're just going to try to go from memory here. But, man, Miz and Morrison were super hot during this time.
Yeah.
They had the Dirt Sheet series on WWE.com, and it's crazy to think that The Miz was kind of like an internet darling there for a little while, basically due to his association with John Morrison. But, man, they were a hot act.
They're not far from being that again because Morrison's back in the company. And I watched, for the first time ever, The Bump on WWE, social media last week because John Morrison was on there. And The Miz called in, and it was really neat to see them together and talking about old times. And it made me want Eminem 2.0, man. I want Miz and Morrison back together. I've talked on here on Talking Taker about how I wouldn't mind seeing two main event stars tag team. I would love for Randy Orton and John Cena to be a tag team. I love when Kane and Taker tagged. I love when Austin would tag with Taker. So it's just really cool to see two guys like that be put together. And I wouldn't mind seeing Miz and Morrison again. Their focus only being tag team gold. That'd be kind of neat.
Dude,
in this day and age. But it all started back here.
I did not consider a Miz and Morrison reunion for Morrison's comeback, but now that's all I want to see.
That's all I want.
Bring it back.
I want
man.
The dirt sheet. I want the dirt sheet every week. They can do like the same thing on like the Street Profits do on Raw. They can do it on SmackDown as the dirt sheet or whatever. Like they can be amazing because they're awesome. I love those two guys together.
I love it. There it is. You heard it here first, folks. Well, Kane and Undertaker do a little backstage promo on Miz and Morrison. Really, it was just Kane. Kane does the talking here as Undertaker just stands by and rolls his eyes to the back of his head.
And tonight, that monster will reveal itself as the WWE Tag Team Champions, Miz and Morrison, face their destruction. Make that the Brothers of Destruction.
We also get a Miz and Morrison promo later on as well.
Yeah, earlier today, Miz and Morrison gave a promo talking about facing the brothers, and apparently Kane and Taker actually were fighting each other a few weeks ago on SmackDown, so Miz brings that up, and John Morrison says that
divide and conquer. Tonight, that's going to be our strategy. And the man that's going to start the revolution, the man that's going to start this match, the man that's going to get right up in the Undertaker's face, stare into the dead man's beady little eyes, and prove to him that ECW is our yard, is going to be you, the chick magnet, the Miz.
he kind of throws Miz under the bus there. Miz is kind of taken aback. So it's kind of funny interaction to see them do that together. So
everybody gets separate entrances here, including the tag team champions. I remembered it, but it's still funny to look back and see Miz's old look. I'll never not think that's funny. And his giant cargo shorts and fedora and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's horrifying. He made you hate him.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Can't believe he became a world champion. And John Morrison didn't. Not in WWE, at least. Not yet.
Right. There's still time.
Then I also cracked up seeing Kane walk out with the belt, ECW Championship belt, around his waist, wearing it to the ring, man. Something about that, for some reason, just looked funny to me, dude. Looked like he's wearing a kid's belt.
That title is so little. Like, when Big Show had it, he just held it in, like, one hand. Like, it was so tiny. But, yeah, seeing Kane come out. But then seeing the World Heavyweight Champion Taker come out, which, again, in our timeline, we haven't got to that point yet where he's won the gold belt. He's only ever had the WWE title. So seeing that one on him, man, just looked really cool. So I can't wait till we get there in our timeline as we catch up in the next few weeks. But, yeah, he comes out and makes his great entrance here. And just as was said earlier, the Miz is going to start off with Kane. And he's actually going to go right on the offense to Kane. Man, I was kind of impressed, like, being so young and green in the business. He actually does a really good job starting off this match against such a veteran like Kane. And Kane gets the upper hand and starts working over the shoulder, though.
Undertaker tags in, works over the arm, goes for old school, gets it. The crowd's popping huge for Undertaker here in London. I'm surprised we could even tell it was London because there was no bus or phone booth on the stage.
I know.
I wasn't really sure if it was really London, but apparently it was. Undertaker places Miz on the apron, boots him down, hits that apron leg drop on Miz, or he goes to hit that, and Morrison actually clotheslines Undertaker down to the floor as Undertaker's going for it. I thought it was a really cool spot, actually.
That was an excellent spot. You don't see that often. But yeah, he intercepted that leg drop and just kind of really stiff clothesline to Taker, and that goes to commercial. So if we come back from that commercial, we see Miz and Morrison. What are they called? M&M? Like it's Miz and Morrison. Like I know there already was an M&M, but like it would have been cool to be M&M 2.0 or something, or I don't know.
There's no
peanut
in.
M&Ms.
There's no in.
Miz in Morrison. That's Miz in.
Miz in Morrison.
No, Miz like salt and pepper is not. It's salt and pepper. The N was a joke.
But M&M was Mercury Nitro Molina.
Right, but salt and pepper is just salt and pepper. But the N is the and. So, like the old band. That's our song for the end of the show. But anyway,
old band.
Old band, not band. Yeah.
Old Bay, salt and pepper. I'm confused.
I do love Old Bay.
You did.
Anyway, Taker's going to throw Morrison in the corner and start punching him, headbutting him, stomping him, and then Morrison's going to somehow kick Taker, and then Taker's going to boot him for a 2 count. Kane's going to tag in and start just taking it on to Morrison, who's going to very quickly tag the Miz back in, who is not really sure he wants to get back in the ring with Kane.
Well, for good reason, because Kane is murdering him in the ring, knocks Morrison down to the announce table. Kane goes up top, but Morrison throws him off and does a little posing on the apron, and then Kane shoves Morrison off the apron, but Miz chop blocks him down. Miz and Morrison kind of control things for a little while, work over Kane, doing some hot tags, working over the leg, and then our tag team specialist, our old favorite, The Undertaker, is going to tag in and do what he does best, man. He's one of the most underrated tag team wrestlers of all time, dude. He knows how to make that comeback.
He is. He's going to get in here and just take it to Morrison. He wears Morrison out with the stinger splashes in the corner, snake eyes, running big boot, just 2 count. He's going to goozle Morrison, and Miz is going to slide in there, and he goozles Miz too, but they're going to double kick him and knock him off of them. And then Kane's going to come in. He and his brother are going to hit stereo choke slams on Eminem 2.0, just choke slam at the same time. And then The Undertaker's going to try to finish things off here with a big old tombstone to John Morrison, cover him with the classic pose, and get the win for the World Heavyweight Champions, thus squashing the Tag Team Champions. So.
Well, if you're going to squash the Tag Team Champions, it might as well be 2 of the World Champions.
Exactly.
Against
no,
them
I
there.
agree.
But yeah, dude, they do their pose in the middle of the ring with their world titles. It's a pretty cool sight to see here. Kane and Undertaker both holding a couple of the World Championship belts of 2 of the 3 WWE brands here. And we'll explore the context of this in a few weeks when we hit this post WrestleMania 24 on the podcast. We've got 2007 that we're going to be getting to here in a couple of weeks, so it'll take us a few months to get into 2008, but a little bit of a flash forward and something on brand for this episode as we talk about The Undertaker in ECW, his 2 appearances. He goes undefeated, man, 2-0, won by disqualification that first match, gets a pinfall here, goes down as an ECW legend in my book.
Absolutely, man. If you're 2-0, that's it. You're good to go.
Well, unfortunately, The Undertaker, as awesome as these ECW appearances were and as unique as they were, he did not make it to the December to Dismember pay-per-view. The first, last, and only ECW pay-per-view of the ECW on Sci-Fi run. The first, last, and only pay-per-view that WWE ever held in Augusta, Georgia, our hometown. But man, what a crazy story. Maybe he could have saved it if he'd have been a part of it. But, going into this show, it's legendary in our minds for us because we were there. And because of the stories around it, the story going into it, man. We've talked about it here. We've been friends since middle school. Both grew up in Augusta, Georgia. And, man, Augusta was pretty much a WCW town. Obviously, Atlanta was WCW territory. I think they had some Clash of the Champions in Augusta. I don't know if WCW ever did a pay-per-view from Augusta. Not in the boom period, maybe in the early days.
Yeah.
I think they did some Clash of Champions there, maybe. But they, WWE would do house shows there. Never even a Raw or SmackDown or anything. They did some Superstars tapings, but never big shows in our arena. But we found out whenever they announced it a couple months beforehand that the first ever ECW pay-per-view, December to Dismember, was going to be from the James Brown Arena in Augusta, Georgia, the local hockey arena in Augusta. Dude, I had been dreaming about having a wrestling pay-per-view in our hometown my entire life as a wrestling fan, and I never, ever, ever thought it would happen. So I didn't care what it was.
Right.
I knew we were going, man.
Oh, without question, man. Yeah, I had seen we both talked about on the show, we've seen some house shows there, and you saw the freaking Toxic Turtles there.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome. In 93, was that? 93, I think
Right.
it was, or 2. I had seen a Nitro Thunder taping in 2000. We've covered that on here, how you couldn't come because you had a D or something on your paper or whatever it was. You weren't allowed to go with me. But yeah, never, the idea that it was any pay-per-view coming to our hometown was just huge news, man. And I remember you calling me and telling me about it, and I remember specifically not having any money to pay for this because it was about Christmas time. I was living in an apartment, very poor college kid, and didn't have hardly anything, and you said, I got you. And I said, okay, I'll pay you back. And I still think I owe you 13 years later, buddy. I don't know if I ever paid you back. Hopefully I don't even remember. I don't know.
I don't know if anybody paid me back for that one, but I didn't care, dude. We had to go to this. Man, I mean, the fact that it was ECW kind of made me more excited that it was going to be like historic like that.
Something different.
And we were fans of the ECW brand back then. We were huge CM Punk fans.
Yes.
So getting to see him live, I mean, we were all about it. So just a pay-per-view. I would have been excited to get a Raw or SmackDown, but to get a freaking pay-per-view in our hometown was wild. Again, you can see it when you watch the show. It is not a big arena. I mean, this is where we graduated high school. Is in this arena. It's not. It's like 3,000 people, 4,000 maybe. I don't even know if it holds that much, but it was crazy to think we were gonna have a pay-per-view there. But like I said, I knew we had to get tickets, so it's the only time in my life I've ever done this. I went to the box office the day tickets went on sale. Got there about 2 hours early. There were already some people camping out there. Maybe like 15 or 20 people like camped out at the box office. Like I said, Augusto starved for a pay-per-view, man. So there were people already waiting. But I got there. I didn't want to miss it, man. And this was 2006, so it wasn't I mean, you could go online and get tickets, but it wasn't, they didn't like go like that online, like could snap your finger. But man, I remember I wanted to get floor seats, but those were gone by the time I got up there. So I got 6 seats right off the floor, that first level off the floor, which I always like those seats anyway. Like you got better sight lines towards things. So I was excited for that. We weren't going to get our souvenir chairs, but we could at least have good visual of the show on there. And ended up being me, you, our buddy Josh, who we've talked about on the show, our buddy Chuck, I think we've talked about a couple of times. Friend Kirk from high school came in. And
great referee.
Oh, he was a great referee. And our buddy Jay was supposed to go, but he had something come up last minute. So my friend Brad, I
know what it was. It was liver enzymes.
Elevated liver enzymes couldn't make it. Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, well, who's the other guy? Because I don't think I ever met him.
I had 6 tickets, so I was just trying to find somebody. And my buddy Brad, that I went to church with, he was sort of a lapsed wrestling fan, but I mean, he was excited about it. He was all about it. He was excited.
If you're gonna get somebody back into it, what better way to go to ECW Dismember? We were at an aisle number 113.
Oh, you got a ticket.
Row G. I was in seat number 9, apparently. Yeah, I'm showing you here. I'll have it on our social media. So, yeah. Pretty crazy, man. Pretty crazy. Great seats. I love that. You had a great job picking the seats, man. And as we're going to talk about here, we got some really cool interactions.
Oh, we got real lucky with those seats. Well, besides going to the box office to wait in line for tickets, something that you were not able to come to, I believe, because of school, was a
school or work.
Conference.
I can't remember, but I missed it.
Yeah, this was so weird. I maybe they did this a couple times during this run WWE did, but they held a live press conference the week of the pay-per-view on Monday, in the middle of the day, like 12 o'clock on Monday for the ECW show. I think I heard about it like the night before on the Wrestling Observer website or something. So I called up Josh. I mean, I called up you too. You obviously couldn't go.
I couldn't
go.
But
me and Josh went. I'm pretty sure I skipped class to go to it. But there was maybe like 75 people there in like in a conference room at the bottom of the arena. A bunch of people lined up, had all the WWE cameras there. They were interviewing some of the fans there. And, man, CM Punk, Kelly, Big Show, Test, the Hardy Boys, Paul Heyman, RVD. They were all there. It lasted for maybe an hour. They all cut promos. They aired some of this footage on Raw later that night and on the ECW show. Freaking Survivor Series was the night before. They flew those guys out to Augusta to be at that press conference, and then the Hardy Boys were on Raw later that night.
That's crazy.
He is wild. It's because, and I remember Matt Hardy had a swollen face, like a black eye from something he did at Survivor Series the night before, but he was still having to be there in Augusta to do this stupid press conference for 75 people to get like 5 seconds of footage for Raw.
That's crazy. Yeah, because they were in they had clean swept the Survivor Series match, him and the Hardys and Punk or whatever.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
And their reward was getting to go to Augusta, Georgia for 2 hours.
Woo! Yeah. Oh, man.
Well,
but yeah, I'm sad because the story you're about to tell is one of my favorites of any story we have together, and I am so sad I wasn't there, but I laughed to this day as hard as I laughed when you told me about this. So please, I'll stand back while you just tell us your interactions with somebody important.
I don't know if it's as funny all these years later if you weren't there, but
it's funny.
Me and Josh, we were 20 years old, being loud and obnoxious during this press conference. We were chanting. Josh is one of the funniest guys you and I have ever met. He's a lot more rambunctious and outgoing with some of his comments than I think either one of us are. And he's a great instigator. So he was yelling ridiculous stuff and almost getting us kicked out of this press conference. Just interrupting Big Show and Test during their promos. We kept yelling out. Our favorite thing to say was that Test was a tool. And that'll come into play later on. We kept just interrupting him as he was trying to talk, and he literally said on the mic, "If you guys don't shut up, I'm going to kick you guys out of here," which was great. That's all we wanted to hear. So we
getting heat, baby. Getting heat.
I loved it, but he was so legit pissed off because we would not let him finish a sentence.
Because the thing is like they're trying to do these press conferences as we've been going through 2006, they've done them for almost every big show. They show a little clip of it during Raw or SmackDown. So they were trying to make it like it's an actual sport or something, and they do one nowadays for WrestleMania. That's about it. Maybe a couple big shows, but they were trying to take this really seriously and make it like for the press and for they had the newspapers there, the news footage and stuff like that. And you guys are just sandbagging them and just heckling them the heck out of them, just saying things and crowd calling and chanting, and it's more ammunition for us to yell at him later on. So, oh
man, we were so obnoxious, but we thought we were hilarious. I don't know if we really were. I'd love to see the raw footage of that, but anyway, we did the same thing for Big Show as he came out, and Big Show, bless his heart, man, he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else in the world than Augusta, Georgia on a Monday morning after he worked pay-per-view the night before, which I can't blame him. So
maybe he wanted to be down the street, his hometown.
That's right, man. He was just 45 minutes down the road in Aiken.
Are you from Aiken?
Well, we did the same thing for him, and he finally was not having it and yelled out to me. And back in this day, I had really shaggy hair, much longer and bushier, basically like a helmet on my head during this time. Thought I looked cool back then.
Helmets.
Yeah, sure. Typical 20-year-old douchey
2006.
Haircut. Yeah. And he's... I don't even remember exactly how he said it, but...
He pointed at you. Your words were, he pointed at you and he said, "Hey, you, little Dutch boy."
And man, I had nothing. I had no comeback for that, dude. He won that interaction.
He said something like, "Hey, you little Dutch boy, if you don't shut up, I'm going to take you out of here." So I don't know. But yeah. Oh, man. And those of you who don't know the Dutch boy, just tell them who that is.
This little Dutch boy on paint can. Little kid with the same haircut as me, man.
Yeah. I basically never saw it. I basically Big Show called you out.
Sunk down in my chair after that one, man. He won that interaction.
We eat you for lunch.
Oh, man. I was ready to go, though. One of the highlights of my wrestling fandom right there.
That's one of the highlights of my life, and I wasn't even there. I just got to hear about it. I was so jealous that I wasn't there for that.
Well, you can imagine the hype level after that press conference, man. We were ready to go. We actually got little souvenir posters that we get to take home. Mine is still framed in my office where I usually record the podcast from, right next to me. I'll throw a picture of that up on social media. It's probably the only person in the world with a ECW December to Dismember poster framed in their office, but I'll never forget it. And so, man, we kept counting down the hours until Sunday, December 3rd. I remember I was at a church conference in Charlotte, North Carolina, and drove back just in time to go to the pay-per-view that night to meet everybody at your apartment where we started getting ready for the show.
Yeah, we got it. We're at my apartment. We were getting all marked up. Like literally wrist tape on our arms. We talked about how we were huge CM Punk fans. Put the X's on our wrist just like he did. Got this great picture we'll put online if it's not already on there of us posing. Got our signs made, which one of our signs said, one side said "Test is a tool."
We hated that guy, man, so much.
Test. And the other side said, what did it say? Stevie Richards is ballin'. Stevie Richards is ballin'. That's it. Yeah, Stevie Richards is ballin' because we love Stevie.
That guy.
Again, that's kind of my gimmick here on the show, but it's been my gimmick in real life too. Love Stevie Richards. So great guy. It was good to see him on the show. But we're getting all marked up and just ready to go and hyped up. And I don't even remember if we ate food or not. We just went down. We were ready to head down there and go to the show.
Well, we also had a Respect the Unexpected sign, I believe.
We did.
As well.
That's true.
Our wrestling gimmick.
Yeah, me, you, and Josh. Our triple threat tag team was the Unexpected. So it's purposely misspelled. So if those of you who see it, and don't call us out on that.
No, yeah, that was on purpose.
Yeah.
We got to the show. I bought a CM Punk T-shirt, man, and put it on right there at the show. And you bought a T-shirt for the event that had the event poster on there with Sandman's fist coming out of the chimney of the house with the cane on there.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we found out the card of the show we were attending because it was printed on the back of the T-shirt. And the only things that had been announced on TV for this pay-per-view were the main event and a match between the Hardy Boys and Eminem. So we found out what else we were seeing as soon as you purchased the T-shirt.
And I think that Hardy Boys match was made on like the show before, like on Sci-Fi.
Yes.
Like it was like just made. So yeah, we had no idea what else was going on, was cooking. And I'll be honest with you, man, I do not remember where this shirt has ever gone. Like I don't know where this shirt is in my collection of shirts. I have no idea. I don't know what has happened to it. So
I think you gave it away after all the Chris Benoit stuff.
Oh, maybe I did. That would make sense.
I know I gave my CM Punk shirt away during that time.
Yeah, so, well, there you go. Curse you. I could have had this. Benoit. But anyway, yeah, you're right. What a strange way to find out the goings-on of the evening as from the back of a T-shirt. I mean, they didn't just print these that day, you don't think, right? I mean, they had to know something.
Did. I don't
or
know.
Maybe they did, but not at the Green Street T-shirt press or something downtown. It's had them printed. But, yeah, anyway, I mean, it's Mike Knox and Kelly versus Kevin Thorne and Ariel and
Well, hold on. Let's go through it. Let's just go through it match by match. Let's go through the order of the show. We first of all, don't forget the dark match, man. That was one of the highlights. It was Stevie Richards, ballin' Stevie Richards against Rene Dupree. Yeah, Extreme Icon Rene Dupree, man. But I'll tell you what. It did a dark match job. It hyped us up when we got here. I'll show you. You'll see.
Yeah, got me ready, man. I love Steve Richards. So, yeah, getting to see him live and in person was awesome because I can't remember. I don't know if he was at the Raw I was at with the Invasion or not. But anyway, yeah, this might have been my first only time to see Steve Richards, or my first time to see him. So, yeah, I was definitely excited about that. So, that was fun. But, yeah, what's next on the card?
He pointed out our sign as well.
He did.
I thought he was going to come over to us. He,
I know.
Started to go through the crowd when he left. I thought he was going to come get our sign, but I know he saw it. He definitely pointed at it.
And, of course, we're marking out for ourselves at that point. Yeah. Like, he saw our sign. So cool.
He picked up the win against Rene Dupree, and then the card opened with Hardy Boys defeating Eminem, which was, that was match of the night.
Oh, yeah. it's like 25 minutes of awesome tag team wrestling. And it was, again, the Hardy Boys were technically on different shows, but they had come together for this Survivor Series thing, and then for this, and they had reunited a couple times on the various shows they were on. But yeah, this was supposed to be like a one night only, the Hardy Boys coming together. And then, of course, we'll know that I think a couple weeks from now is Armageddon, and they'll actually be in a tag team ladder match. But I digress. You know, it was cool to see them. This was when Jeff Hardy had that weird, like, predator braids in his hair. He looked really awkward. But, like, again, this match was, man, this was stellar. It was a very, very good match.
That's a great match, man. We're feeling good at this point. Stevie Richards in the dark match. Got to see that awesome tag team match. Then things sort of go off a cliff here with the rest of the show. Although our boy Balls Mahoney picks up a win over Matt Stryker in a Strikers Rules match. Nothing to write home about there. You got Elijah Burke and Sylvester Turkai against Little Guido, one of our favorites on the show, and Tony
Guido.
Mamaluke and Trinity.
Yeah, I love. I really liked Elijah Burke's character. I liked him at the time. I could not stand Turkay or whatever his name. Go away, man. I think I was terrible. He was terrible. Sorry, Mike Adamley slipped in on me.
We did not like Daivari and Great Khali, but here they are defeating Tommy Dreamer on this ECW pay-per-view. Of course Tommy Dreamer has to lose. That's his job.
Oh, yeah. That's probably Vince's one mandate. Like, Tommy's losing tonight. Yeah, that was sad.
And, you know, the show's kind of a drag at this point. Picks up a little bit, though, because we see Ariel and Kevin Thorne against Kelly Kelly and Mike Knox. They get the win, Ariel and Kevin Thorne, though, but I don't know if I've ever had a crush on somebody in wrestling as much as I had a crush on Kelly Kelly. So getting to see her come out and getting to stare at her on her side of the ring, that was a thumbs up for me. We were on the right side of the ring for that night, if you know what I mean.
Well, I don't think you've ever hated anybody except for IRS as much as you hate Mike Knox, though. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I tell you what, man, it was fun to see that interaction. And Mike Knox is what he is, but I appreciate them trying something with him and with Kevin Thorne. So I wasn't as down on this stuff as some people in the arena were. But I was that throughout the night we'd seen that Sabu was taken out backstage, right, during some of this. And he was supposed to be in the main event. And he got taken out backstage, blindsided by somebody. And then he gets taken away in an ambulance, and RVD, his pal, is like, you know, it's okay, well, you know, I'll do this for you, and yada yada. And then Paul Heyman is going to invite Bob Holly to take the place of Sabu in the main event. So that was a little deflating. I remember that happening during the match, and we were so excited to see Punk, Sabu, and RVD in this match, this Extreme Elimination Chamber, which there hadn't been but a handful of those at the time. And this was going to be extreme with weapons. So you need somebody crazy like Sabu to do some stupid stuff in there. But that was all for naught, because it's going to be replaced by Mr. I got an idea. Give me the title.
Yeah, that was a bad sign. And I was watching some of the show earlier tonight, and when that first segment where Sabu gets put on the stretcher and put in the ambulance, they come back to the arena and they're chanting "Bull."
Yeah.
You know, that's all it was, dude. It was BS that they were taking Sabu out of the main event. We thought maybe he was hurt. Maybe he failed a drug test again or something. We didn't know what was going on, but really, it was all just, that was the booking. They wanted to get Hardcore Holly in there and get more heat during this match, which was just mind-boggling. Again, we still had hopes for ECW. We still were holding on to some of those last gasps, but WWE just wanted to murder it. But we did get one final gasp of true ECWism after that Kelly Kelly Mike Knox match. Travis, tell everybody about the highlight of the show, in my opinion. Forget that tag team match. This was our highlight.
Oh, this is where the Sandman comes out. So what was he even coming out for? I don't even remember what he comes out for.
Murder Mike Knox with a kendo stick.
That's right. Yeah, he comes
Singapore
out.
Cane.
Singapore Cane, kendo stick, whatever. He comes out, his music's hitting, and it's an off-brand, whatever his music was at that point. But this guy, Hack, comes down aisle. What I say, we're in aisle 113. He comes down aisle 113 right next to us, and he's standing next to us, and we're all just just fist pumping and jacked, excited about it. And this dude grabs his beers out of his pocket and slams them against his head and guzzles them, and is getting beer all over. Mainly our friend Chuck, who's with us. He's getting doused in it. We're getting a little bit remnants of it, but Chuck is getting doused in it. And when the camera zooms in, you can see us there on it. Mainly, I think Chuck and Kirk in it, and you're in it really good there.
No, it's really just Chuck and Kirk.
Just Chuck and Kirk, actually, I think, yeah. But they are right next to Sandman and just getting covered in it. And just, again, taking us back 9 or 10 years. I mean, it's just, we're just little marks, just excited to see the Sandman. He's right there, man. And we can touch him, literally touch him. And, he comes right there. And that was the highlight of the night, probably. So,
dude, I've been to 3 WrestleManias. I've seen some incredible moments at Raws and SmackDowns live. I don't know if I've ever been more excited as a wrestling fan than when the Sandman stopped right next to us, cracked his beer open, poured his beer all over all of us. I mean, like you said, Chuck and Kirk are on the aisle, and if you watch this back on the network, they're 2 guys whose faces are just pumped as you see them. I got some good pictures. I don't know how I was able to pull my camera out because I didn't have a camera phone back then. I was using a real camera, but I got some pretty awesome shots of Sandman. I was lucky enough to get that, but dude, I honestly don't know if I've ever been as excited at a wrestling show as when the Sandman stopped and cracked his beer open and spilled it all over us, man. It saved the show, in my opinion, up to that point.
Oh, it was good times, man. It's definitely a highlight of my wrestling fandom, just so seeing Sandman that close. Yeah, it was awesome. And just seeing how it I don't know if Chuck had ever been to a show either. He may have been to a house show. So seeing our friend get so hype about it too, just being that close to a wrestler, because we had been to several shows before, but seeing our little buddy, get so excited about it was really cool for me and you too, just him be a part of that. So it was neat, and
it was so unexpected. Like, we had no idea he could have come down any aisle in that arena. We literally had no idea he would come down the one next to us. So just us getting that lucky, and that he stopped on our row and opened his beer up.
Because on my T-shirt it said Hardcore Holly versus Sandman. That was supposed to be a match, and then Hardcore Holly got taken out. And so we weren't sure if we were going to see him at all. Right. But yeah, out of all of the aisles there, he stops next to us, and it was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Well, I don't know if awesome is the right word to describe this main event, but that's where we've gotten in the show. And, like we said, we're going to do this watch-along style, just a little something extra for you guys. Consider it a Christmas present of sorts. We've done watch-alongs for some of the Royal Rumbles, and we did one for Undertaker Mankind Hell in a Cell. So this will be a little bit of a change of pace, but this is the main event of ECW December to Dismember. We were there for it live. We're going to relive it for you guys. We're going to do running commentary over this match. We encourage you guys to watch it along with us, but if you don't want to subject your eyes to the torture of that, you can just listen, and hopefully we'll keep it entertaining.
And stay tuned for the end, because we're going to tell some more stories after this match is over. So that's a little cliffhanger there. Stay tuned to the end.
Yes,
because our night was not over.
Our night was not over after the show. We had some incredible interaction with some of the stars of the show after the pay-per-view was over. So we'll keep it in chronological order. We'll share those stories after the match, but you can pull this up on the WWE Network. It is going to be at 1 hour, 35 minutes, 24 seconds. Basically, if you are on like Apple TV or Amazon or Roku, just pick the chapter that has the first ever Extreme Elimination Chamber match. Hit play on that, and it should be right at 1:35:24. I've got a shot of just the chain length of the Elimination Chamber on there. So we'll get into the entrances and all that sort of stuff, and we'll do commentary on there. Hit pause on us if you need to pull that up. Once again, the timestamp is 1:35:24, or you can just go ahead and go to that Extreme Elimination Chamber match chapter on the WWE Network. And man, Travis, why don't you give us an extreme countdown to tell us when to hit play?
All right, I'll do 3, 2, 1 play, and then we'll go on play. So everybody get your fingers ready. All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
Here we go.
All right. Got the blue lights flashing on there. Because, well, I think I see a chair hanging. Because remember, this is extreme. There's the crowds on their seat, not their feet.
Not thrilled yet.
Look at him. Arms crossed, arms crossed. This is a bad shot of Augusta. That guy's got 2 thumbs.
Sadly representative there, as we see the SRP, Federal Credit Union logo in the background.
They brought this entire apparatus to Augusta, Georgia to hang.
I gotta tell you, I mean, I was just amazed at this set when we came. I still think the set itself is pretty freaking awesome. And just that they fit this giant set into our little hometown arena. Like,
I know.
I can't put over enough what a tiny arena this is. And the fact that we had a WWE pay-per-view there, as we see the rules
crazy
on the screen now.
Yeah, so again, the ECW title is vacant. I do not remember why, because we're not in chronological order here, but it's vacant, and so the last remaining member of this match will become the ECW champion. When the pod opens like a normal elimination chamber, not only will a superstar or wrestler or extremist be released, also a weapon that's in his pod as well. So we just saw some highlights of the weapons. There's a crowbar, a table, a chair, a barbed wire baseball bat. And I guess that's it, huh? That's 4 fives?
Yeah, those are the 4 weapons. And, I remember the sight lines being awful for this.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the Punjabi prison sight lines being terrible, but I think...
Okay, never mind. There's the ECW champion right there. I thought it was vacant.
Oh, okay. Well, scratch that. But yeah, the table being in the corner of one of the pods made it very difficult to see into the chamber in there. They did not think about that all that well.
Scratch everything I said about a vacant title. I thought it was vacant and Big Show had lost it or whatever.
Well, again, this is going to be, if you'll remember, Big Show's...
Look at that tiny title on his shoulder, though.
I know, almost as small as it was on Kane. But this is Big Show's swan song on the ECW brand. I believe he competes
his too.
The next Tuesday. Yeah, Paul Heyman's as well. But this is, man, he's going to go away until WrestleMania 24, almost a year and a half later.
There's Mickey J, the referee. Yeah, he leaves for like a year from the company and starts training in boxing and all that stuff, right? And he comes back. So
loses a lot of weight.
It's the only year he was not technically part of the company. There's Paul Heyman applauding on the outside. So, he's eyeing the structure.
He is very swollen here.
Yeah.
Oh, man. He is. This might be the biggest he ever was.
I feel like we keep saying that because every time we see him, he's bigger and bigger than he was last time we saw him. Yeah. So he's got, a barbed wire baseball bat in his, and he's showing the crowd. And now he's touching the barbed wire like an idiot. And they're just milking this to sell time because at this point, this pay-per-view has only been on for an hour and 38 minutes. And it's supposed to be a 3-hour pay-per-view or 2 hours and 45 minutes. And so we're an hour and a half into it. And we're getting our main event already. And one thing we failed to mention is that before this match started, Paul Heyman comes out for like a 5-minute promo, just, again, killing more time on this show.
Thank you for bringing all that up, because that's an important part of the piece of why this is such a disaster. It's not just the match itself. It's just the whole organization of this show. It's what? How many matches did we just talk about? There's only 6 matches before this. And, main event's going on at 9:30. So we're thinking, oh, man, this is going to be like hour-plus match. It's going to be crazy.
There's Chris Wiggins.
What are they going to do? Oh, yeah, good friend of ours from middle school, high school, independent wrestling referee, Chris Wiggins, former independent wrestler. There you go.
So this was a treat for you and I getting to see CM Punk live because, again, I mentioned here, big fans. His couldn't wait for him to come to ECW. Loved his vignettes. Really, I went back and watched a lot of his stuff. Again, this is the infancy of YouTube and stuff like that, but I watched his series of matches with Punk. With Joe. He's enthralled me now. Yeah, he is Punk. with Joe in Ring of Honor, all his stuff, his matches with Aries and Jamie Noble, and just all that stuff, man. I loved CM Punk, man. He was great. I was a big fan of his.
Yeah, like you said, we taped our fists like his for this night. I don't know about you, man, but I really thought in my heart of hearts, Punk was winning the title tonight.
Yes,
I know Bobby Lashley was getting the push, but I thought they were going to do the right thing and have CM Punk go over because he was so over. Yep. I mean, this crowd loves him. And he was the hottest part of ECW. I thought surely they would come to their senses. I don't know why I honestly believed that, but I did.
Well, and up to this point, he hadn't lost a match on ECW television at all. He's undefeated. So that was a big thing, too. It's like usually that's going to lead to something. And, you're right. It was just, especially because of how the rest of the show's gone, we're like, surely they're going to give us, like, send the crowd home happy type thing. Like, let's just do the right thing. But CM Punk's got a chair in his pod for those of you who aren't actually watching along with us. But he is on the opposite corner from where we are, so we can't really see him. And there he is. The man we had to sign for.
Tool test.
Massive.
A guy.
Look how big he is.
Oh, he is juiced to the gills. And, we've covered him on the show a few times. Paul Heyman's happy to see him. But he is freshly oiled. And, I've come around on him a bit. I think he did some things good. But, God, dude, I hated him being in ECW. It was just like, I was tired of him. I was done with him. He was nothing special at this point,
Yeah. Oh, you're right, man. But then I'm thinking right now, just off the top of my brain, like, what else would he have done in WWE? Like, he would have been incredible anywhere. So, like, but yeah, you're right. I hated that he was taking up a roster spot on ECW, and I'm wanting to see guys like Punk and Sabu and even Elijah Burke and stuff like that, these new, younger talents. And I'm like, okay, so this is the guy who couldn't get over in the Attitude Era that we're bringing back to give a big push. Like, come on. I didn't want to see that,
Yeah, he's on like his 8th chance getting a major push at this point.
Yeah.
As he goes for the crowbar. I wish he'd had crowbar in his pod.
Oh, yeah.
WCW superstar. Yeah, that would have been exciting.
Great. I love how everybody's just milking it. They could bring their weapon out, show it to the crowd, and then go back in.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, we've got to eat time up, guys.
This show is so short on time already.
Is that Scott Armstrong, referee? Yep.
Yeah, man. Armstrong, Cone, Mickey J, all out there.
The who's who of referees. I think one problem I had with Test was his eyebrow ring.
Yeah,
too.
Not a fan of that.
And nothing against eyebrow rings, just Test having one was the problem.
Right, it was a bad combination.
Yeah. All right, who's coming out next? Oh, the man.
Mr. Lana himself, Bobby Lashley.
He looks exactly the same. It has been 13 years, past to the day. Well, more than 13 years since this match, and Bobby Lashley looks identical to himself. Everybody's doing the decade challenge. He could do the decade and a third challenge, and he still looks the same. And so does Daniel Bryan, for that matter, now that he's come back with short hair.
Paul Heyman kind of does, too.
Oh, he's got no ponytail, though, and he's 3 times that size.
Man, how would you describe Bobby Lashley during this time, 2006? All right.
That's how you and I thought about him. I mean, honestly, not a fan.
Boring.
Yeah, boring. Just a succubus of charisma. Like, just sucks the wind out of the room when he walks in. I mean, he's a specimen, no doubt. Like, look at him.
Right.
But, like, that does not do it for me, man. I just don't get it. And here he is. I'm about to hate him even more because he gets in this thing with the table behind him, and we are sitting directly behind that, and we cannot see. This giant table is standing up. And sooner or later, we're going to start chanting, "Move that table."
That's right.
Move the table. I mean, what a bad position for that table. Oh, there's our sign. You see our sign?
I do.
Test is a tool.
Test is a tool right there.
Steve Richards is balling. You saw it.
I wonder if he could see it.
Oh, you know he
He's
saw
staring
it.
right at it. Yep.
He thought he said Test has a tool because he's got a crowbar in his hand. So he was like, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Core Holly.
Oh, good old Core Holly. Member of the Core.
Does it get any worse?
I'll tell you what, though. I don't remember if it was before this or after this, but that match he had with Rob Van Dam on ECW where his back gets sliced open, I became a huge Hardcore Holly fan after that.
I will never forget that match. And it's just like a random match on an episode of ECW, but I will never forget watching that match and just being blown away by it. And because it was live at that point, it wasn't taped.
Yeah.
You know, so his back just cut in half, and oh man,
he finished the match.
Finished the match, but yeah, that match was great, and you can see the scar on his back right now. I think it must have been before this. So, see that on the left side there, his scar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was like, it was like he wasn't even advertised for this match. This should be Sabu. So we're already like, dude, come on, man. Again, I got a lot of respect for him after that RVD match, but you know, I wanted this to be Sabu.
Well, you know, as much as we love CM Punk, there is only one ECW guy in this 6-person match.
And here
that's
he comes.
What pissed us off.
Yeah.
Man, like, RVD and Sabu would have been awesome. I mean, to this day, I don't think I've ever seen Sabu live. I'm pretty sure. And this would have been like the best opportunity to do it. And so we were robbed of that and got Hardcore Holly as a replacement. But at least we got this guy. At least we got Mr. Monday Night.
Mr. Sunday Night here.
Sunday Night in Augusta. Yeah.
Sunday Night in Augusta. Yeah. No, this is RVD. It's always a fan of his, man. He's just great. I tell you what, I don't watch Impact nowadays, but I do watch some highlights of what he does on the show. It's pretty entertaining, man. His character right now is just old, washed-up wrestler that hates all the young guys and makes fun of them, and he's like too cool for everybody. He's got like his porn star girlfriend with him.
Oh,
so he's just it's almost like what's old is new again, because he's kind of like the old RVD with Bill Alfonso, but now he's got a porn star instead of Bill Alfonso.
Yeah, his character on Twitter is pretty great too. He basically does the same thing with his two girlfriends.
Oh, there you go.
Or maybe one's his wife, one's his girlfriend. I don't know. But I don't know.
So here we go. 5-minute countdown. We're going to see RVD and Hardcore Holly wrestle for 5 minutes.
Who booked this?
Well, let's get into that. Funny story. I see Chuck on the end there sitting. Funny story. So apparently this whole pay-per-view, this night was the straw that broke the camel's back for Paul Heyman in WWE, and he would be gone for almost 6 years, 5.5 years. He came back with Lesnar, right, in 2012.
Right.
So yeah, he had this whole thing booked. It was supposed to have kind of creative control, and Vince didn't like it. And I think he goes on about this on his DVD, and we've heard various stories over the years. But long story short, Vince basically got a clean slate and wiped away all of his creative ideas and made the match go this way because he wanted Bobby Lashley to be the champion and yada yada. Obviously, we know how Heyman was pushing for Punk, but this was the final straw that broke the camel's back. And JR always says that he used to tell Paul Heyman, not to die on these hills, these creative hills, but this was one he was going to go die on. And Vince basically just dismissed him, and he left, and he's gone for 5.5 years. So.
Yeah, I believe Heyman has said that his idea was having Punk and Big Show start off the match against each other. And like you said, Punk was undefeated at that time. Big Show had been ECW champion for like 6 months. And he was just going to have Punk basically squash Big Show during this first 5-minute section and tap him out before that period was even over. And then have Punk end up victorious, winning that ECW title, and just make him a huge star by having him destroy the monster in under 5 minutes, which would have been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would have guaranteed a brand new champion too. Because if Big Show is the champion, again, as I mistakenly said it was vacant, it wasn't. He was the champion coming in, and if you get him out first, it would have guaranteed a new champ. Big Show in the back there with his back turned to the ring, looking out at the audience.
Probably flirting with somebody out there in the crowd.
Probably some girl from Aiken.
Well, what do you think RVD's gear here?
I think it looks wonderful.
It's
looks
pretty nice.
Yeah, it's always good, always nice and airbrushed. But they're doing some big hits out there on the outside, on that chain link and on that grating, which just looks so painful. But
this
Bob
is that
Holly
original Elimination Chamber, not the new one that they've got now. And I mean, to a man, you ever hear anybody talk about Elimination Chambers, everybody says they hated it. Just bumping on this thing, on that steel, and on the chain was the absolute worst. And I can't imagine they're wrong about that.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It looks terrible to bump around on. And the good thing about Elimination Chamber is that you're going to get a lengthy match because, there's 5-minute intervals or whatever. Oh, Rolling Thunder. Over the top rope onto the grate. That was nasty. Oh, man, it looks like it hurt for real. But it's like, you're going to get a lengthy match, but part of the problem with Elimination Chamber, like any match like this or War Games, is that, the end is... You don't have a lot of drama until the end. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes people, like the crowd, we're having a blast with the crowd. Some of them are sitting on their hands because they know the end's not going to come out of nowhere. You got to get all 5 guys or all 6 guys in the ring. So
it is tough to do. War Games, to me, War Games is always better because you've got sort of like a guaranteed high spot every time and guaranteed heat section in there when you've got the mismatches and all that. And, how do you feel about Elimination Chamber just in general? Because to me, they're usually good, but I don't know if I can pick out like a great Elimination Chamber match. Like it never gets to 5 stars to me. I mean, there's enough action to keep you entertained, but it's never awesome.
I love the first one just because it's the first. I like the second one too, just because of nostalgia. And I tell you what, the ending, I don't remember what year that was, 2010 or 9. The end of it was Edge and Ray for 15 minutes, after everybody else was eliminated.
Yeah,
that was
2011.
11,
right before we went to WrestleMania.
That one, the ending of that one is excellent.
I remember that. That was great.
All right, we got 5 seconds left. Who's coming in? The crowd's chanting. Crowd's counting down. Got our first pod going to open. Let's see who it is. We got the crazy little lights. The GoPro camera shot here. Who's it going to... Fisheye. Oh, it's CM Punk. So, again, crowd is hot. We got RVD and CM Punk.
He's got that chair.
It's Holly in the head.
Why not?
Springboard clothesline on RVD, which we don't even care because it's 2 of our favorites, but we love CM Punk in there. He's telling off Test, which we wanted to do. We're living vicariously through him. Ooh.
And come on.
Ooh.
This guy has so much presence. So much more than Bobby Lashley. And, nothing against Bobby Lashley. It's too much too soon for him. One of those guys just getting shoved down your throat. If they, waited a year or 2 and moved him up a little bit slower, might have been a real big fan. He had a ton of potential, but just not yet.
Yeah, that was an ugly monkey flip on that chair, but it is what it is. You know what's weird is what they did with Bobby Lashley is what they should have done with Braun Strowman. But they did not do it, and now I think it's hurt Braun Strowman in the long run because once he finally does get the title, it's not going to matter as much as it did 2 years ago.
Some sloppy sequencing there from Punk and RVD, but whatever.
Yeah, a springboard lion salt kick thing to Hardcore Holly. Holly's like, I'm too old for this crap.
You think Hardcore Holly's a Hall of Famer?
I think he'll be one of those just add-on ones that they put in. I don't think he'll get a speech. He'll just be like, also going in and name 15 people at a time. It'll be Hardcore Holly. I think he'll be one of those.
He had a 12-year run, man.
I know. RVD's busted open.
He is.
All right. Punk's going to take him Ooh, throws RVD's head straight through the chair. Ooh, he is really busted open.
Sandwiched him right in that chair. Oh, man.
Oh, man. He should be dead. Oh, no. Punk getting thrown into
nice
the...
catch from Holly.
Yeah.
It slams him into that cage.
Oh, man, that's terrible. Going to go for pinfall on the outside, which apparently is a thing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Kind of changes with the... Like we talked about Hell in a Cell. The rules kind of change. Yeah.
And we, of course... This is our first Elimination Chamber we've ever covered. We'll get to Undertaker in a few of those as we go on through the years of the podcast. But we have not had a chance to cover one of these yet.
Look at all the CM Punk signs just in this view. Just like 3 or 4 of them back there. And then just when they showed the bigger, the whole arena, it's just, he's got more signs there than anybody.
And that's something we talk about on the show, man. Like, you can choose which T-shirts you sell out there at the merch stand, but you can't force anybody to bring signs out to the arena, and that shows you who the fans really care about. I don't see one Bobby Lashley sign out there.
Nope.
Can you tell we're still bitter about this 13 years later?
Yeah, you sound like the old guys from Statler and Waldorf.
Oh my gosh.
Muppets. So, just as the night it should have been Punk crowned, it's just I don't know. A year later, he's supposed to get it too, and then thank God. I mean, Benoit ruins that, so Johnny Nitro gets it instead. So yeah, it's just he was just snake bit, man.
He does finally win the ECW title, and ended up doing okay for himself.
Oh yeah.
We'll see if he makes a comeback. You think he'll be in the ring again ever?
Ever, yes, but I don't think it'll be. I'll be surprised if it's before Mania. I don't think he'll be back before Mania. I think it'll be, if anything, the next Mania. Honestly,
there's always a dollar amount,
Oh yeah, everybody's got a price.
Hardcore Holly going up for superplex.
Really wobbly superplex. Oh, Punk is in pain. RVD's crawling over like a hyena.
Yeah, it looks like it hurt.
The scraps. Oh, man. Referee Mickey J is just awesome in there.
Yeah, this match is a little sloppy so far, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Well,
losing you a little bit. What'd you say there?
Oh, so can you imagine if it had Sabu in it instead?
That's a good point. Maybe it's for the best.
Yeah, maybe Vince was on to something, taking him out. Oh man. Anyway,
we're about to get to our next.
But isn't it weird? You got the 3 best wrestlers are in there, like as far as in-ring technicians are in there to start the match off. Your best action is coming. It's all front loaded.
Well, that's probably for the best. Thinking they can carry this thing. You don't necessarily want to see Big Show in there for 45 minutes.
Oh, no. Ooh, crowbar to the gut from Test right to CM Punk. Ooh.
I mean, you got all these classic weapons. The chair, the table, the barbed wire bat, and the crowbar.
Yeah.
When has that ever been exciting in a wrestling match? A crowbar.
Well, he is really taking it to RVD.
You couldn't put a ladder in there, or like a Triple H sledgehammer, or
light bulb tube,
Singapore cane.
Yeah.
Flamethrower.
Really doing work with that tool there. Flamethrower would have been fun.
He knows his way around a tool. We all know that.
What if he said, it's tool time? Oh, Punk with a stunner.
What if, very Undertaker-like. Little ring rope stunner. What if Test had the bouquet of roses that you could pull out from under the ring on No Mercy?
No. Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Guerrero's rose bouquet.
RVD looks like he's really hurting. He's just selling like a wobbly legs.
He's got those educated feet.
He does. Going to town with his chair. I thought he just hit the referee. He hit Bob Holly though. He's holding it up. Again, our view is obstructed because of this stupid table. Ooh,
always loved that move.
Yeah.
And RVD is real busted open too.
Yeah, he is a bloody mess. We're going up top of the 5-star. Oh! You know when that happens. Look at the crowd. Look at the crowd. They're up.
And man,
It.
we could not believe it. Not only did CM Punk lose, but he's the first one out when two guys haven't even come into the match yet.
Exactly.
Imagine even halfway over. There's been so many Elimination Chamber matches where no one gets eliminated early on. It just goes. And was Test did he just eliminate Holly? Was that a 3 count? Yes. Now Holly's out too. Like, we're just flabbergasted at this point.
Yeah. I mean, because not only was Punk eliminated, he's eliminated by the other best guy in the match, like RVD. You know, like it's like you don't take your two big baby faces and have one eliminate him. Ooh, flicked off the Big Show.
I mean, like you said before, he's undefeated at this point, and just have him go out just like that. I mean, it was a frog splash, but just like so early and so nonchalant.
Yeah, I know. And here, RVD has made the classic mistake of climbing on top of the pod, and Big Show's held him down, and Test just threw him off of it.
That's what you do on the video game.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like when you just throw the guy off.
Test is going to climb up now to the very top.
Test used to have a nice flying elbow drop.
Great. I loved Test's elbow drop. That's true. Ooh, he just RVD with that.
Yeah, doesn't always look good jumping off that pod. It's a little painful looking.
All right, so now,
not
only is CM Punk gone, Hardcore Holly's gone, and RVD are all eliminated within like 3 minutes of each other. And I just said those are the three best wrestlers, the most action you're going to get in the match, the most movement you're going to get in a match. Now you're left with Test, The Big Show, and Bobby Lashley? You're freaking kidding me?
You just took out first of all, you took out Sabu, who we were excited to see.
True.
Then you take out the guy we paid money to see, CM Punk. And then you take out our last remaining hope, RVD. And we still got 15 minutes of this match left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this reminds me of the 2015 Royal Rumble where Kane and Big Show just toss out everybody one by one, like all the fan favorites, and it's just like they're just like being mean to the fans.
Yeah.
It's like a difference between getting heat and just like stabbing the fans in the heart.
Yeah, that's one of my least favorite Royal Rumbles.
Yes,
not good.
Just actively being mean to the fans.
Yeah. So we got 15 seconds left here before another pod opens, and again, it's just like at this point the crowd's just like, "What? Like my favorites are gone." Like one of them didn't even get in the ring, and then because he got taken out, and then the other two are already gone. So
we're just getting a chance to stew at this point, as we're just like, "Is this real life? How did this happen? How could they not read the crowd so poorly?"
I don't know if Vince ever watched the show. Oh, there's one of Heyman's own minions.
He cared. Yeah, the Bashams, allegedly. So
the story here is that Bobby Lashley's pod's supposed to open, but these Riot Squad's a name that's taken in 2019, but the Riot Gear members are blocking the pod from opening. We've seen these Riot Gear members, in the past here.
And I believe they want the crowd to just be like so angry and wanting to see Bobby Lashley break through there. But in reality, we're chanting, "We want refunds," and TNA at this point because we're so pissed off at this match.
And move the table because I still can't see.
Yeah.
So Lashley's going to use the table to break through this very weak chain on top of the table. Now the table's leg is broken. He can't even use it in the match. He's ruined it. But he's going to climb out here. And again, it's like, and I will say this though. There's one thing that, and then Disco, bless his heart, the Disco Inferno says this. He says, your money's already you've already paid your money before you get to the show. So technically, they can do whatever the heck they want at the show,
Right.
which is true. But now you want to put a good show on so that next time they come to your town or they advertise, they buy it again.
Exactly.
But that's the problem, is that we've already paid our $60 for a ticket or whatever it is, and then they just screwed us by taking our favorite guys out of the match. But again, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you're like, well, next time they come here, I can't trust them because they're going to screw me again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, without question, we're the marks. We paid the money. They got us in the door. But
sure.
Yeah, there's such thing called killing the town. And
yeah, exactly.
This is the type of thing. I mean, they've never come back to our town since then. Not for a pay-per-view. Because, I mean, this crowd just almost had a riot on this night, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Dude,
Lashley
I hate him crawling out, breaking through the cell like that, because they always talk about how indestructible the chamber is, and that happens every chamber match. Somebody breaks through one of the pods. That bugs me.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Well, he's taking it to test. So I'm a big fan of him taking it to test, but
always
still can't see. Like that table is still in the pod. Even though he broke out and used the table, the table is still standing up in the pod, so we can't even see.
Yeah.
Completely. It's just bad. I don't know. They didn't go out and block it. Yes, check it out. So, oh man, Tess, big roided boot in the corner.
They should have had a glass table.
Should they?
Yeah, we could have seen through that.
That'd been great.
Yeah.
Put somebody to a glass table. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Make it sugar glass or something.
Big Show just waiting.
Big Show having a nice night, just hanging out in the pod.
Yeah, he's the first one out, to enter, and he's the last one in the. They're going to enter the actual match.
Honestly, he should have brought a foot-long sub out there. That would have been a great heel move. Just chill out.
Wow.
Eat a sandwich in there.
Speaking of sub, I learned this week that Baldino's is back open. So
yeah, man, Augusta
You're welcome.
Institution right there.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to hit it up over Christmas.
Yeah, you are. Speaking of hitting up, Bobby Lashley's going to hit up Tess in the stomach with a crowbar and hit a spear. That was just the go-to move at this point. 1, 2, 3. Test is out. So now we've still got time left in the match before Big Show gets in. And Big Show, Big Show and Bobby Lashley is going to be the finale of this. And there's still a minute left until Big Show comes in. It's just like, who booked this?
One-on-one with Lashley and Big Show. It's like Elimination Chamber, man. You're expecting to see 6 guys all in there together, just crazy action, jumping off the cage, all this sort of stuff. It's just so weirdly booked, too, that they think what they really want is Lashley and Big Show one-on-one. None of that RVD crap or Sabu wasting everybody's time.
And there are times when the marks are wrong, and there's a loud group of people that there's a small group of people that make a loud noise about who they want as their fan favorite. But there's also time when the fans really want these guys to win, and this was a time where it's that case where CM Punk was clearly over with not just the marks, but everyone that watched the show, everyone that came to the arenas. There's CM Punk signs, like you said, just more than anything, and it's just why not give it to him right here?
Well, look at their careers, man. Who panned out better, CM Punk or Bobby Lashley? I mean, that just proves
in MMA or in WWE. Oops.
Touche.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, you're right.
Bobby Lashley got the last laugh in the shoot fight, I guess.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. No, you're right. in what we're watching in wrestling and entertainment, it's CM Punk. I mean, he should be a Hall of Famer. I mean, Bobby Lashley, I couldn't possibly care less to ever see him in the Hall of Fame. So,
look at Big Show milking the moment, though, man.
I
gotta give Big Show props. He's doing what he can in there.
Oh yeah, he is. He's beating down.
It's putting you to sleep.
Yeah, apparently. Sorry. He's trying to beat down Bobby Lashley with this barbed wire bat. Gets it stuck in the chain link. Bobby Lashley with some chair to the gut. Hand to the back.
Man, I really do respect Big Show's ECW run. Man, I think
Sure.
it's when you look at Big Show's WWE career, I don't know if it's the highlight, but it's one of them. Man, that was maybe the best he's ever been booked. Like the most they've ever made him look like a legit monster and not a joke.
Yeah, I mean, aside from his big entrance when he came in against Austin, he's busted open from something.
Yep.
He went through the glass after he was busted open. But, yeah, aside from his big entrance against Austin, and then, he was booked like an actual giant. I mean, a killer here in ECW. So he has his moments when he comes and goes, but they just never are consistent with him.
That consistency. Yes. Great word. Because, yeah, he'll have lots of awesome one-off or one-month periods, but they're just so inconsistent with him. That's a perfect word for it.
Yeah. So he got thrown through one side of the pod in the glass, and then the other time he just decided to shoulder thrust through it. Yeah. It's like, that takes everything away. So Big Show just launched Bobby Lashley.
That was nice looking.
Over the top rope in the ring. A couple people in the front row were clapping. A couple folks on their feet.
Big Show had a little spittle coming out there.
A little spittle McGiddle coming down the chin. Calling for the choke slam.
Paul
He's
Heyman
ready.
On the outside continuing to be great too. Anytime we see a shot of him, he's doing stuff on the outside.
Yes.
He knows this is his last night, but he's still performing for the crowd. He's still a professional. He could have gone out there and sulked and been a crybaby, or he could have just walked away. But he's consummate professional, man. As Bobby Lashley turns the tide here, and somebody's trying to do the wave out in the crowd, and just no one cares, man. Just we were chanting TNA at a WWE pay-per-view, like wild.
Yeah, it's just nuts, man. I don't know. I mean,
It'd be like if people chanted AEW during TLC.
Right. Well, they didn't chant anything because those people were asleep in Minneapolis, and they were asleep the next night in Iowa too. But it's kind of like going to Augusta for a pay-per-view.
Sort
of. You gotta know your crowd, man. Big Show that's a big man.
He is, man. He's powering him onto his shoulders there, and Bobby Lashley, not my favorite spear.
No, and he gets the big pin there just after a spear.
And the crowd goes mild. It's Bobby Lashley trying to have an emotional moment here, and we're just booing the crap out of him. We don't have our sound up, so I don't remember how it plays on TV. And there's one guy in the crowd that's excited, but man, we were pissed.
Well, looking at it, you can see there are definitely some fans cheering, because if you're looking at it, out of those two, yeah, you're excited because he won, out of him and Big Show, because Big Show's the heel, so you're excited, but like that's just like the lesser of two evils, You're not really excited, you're just excited because it wasn't the worst thing that happened that night. So I don't know, man. It's just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, honestly.
At this point, there is a minute left on the pay-per-view, and real time it would have been about 10:15 in Augusta. So the show had been on for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Back then, WWE pay-per-views typically went 2:45. That was pretty standard, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a minute or two shorter. We're honestly thinking, okay, something else is about to happen.
Yeah.
This match was so terrible. They pissed everybody off so much. Surely someone's going to come out and challenge Bobby Lashley. Surely that's not what's actually going to happen, because there's 30 minutes of this show left, right?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the conversation we're having. It's like, what do you think's going to happen next? Like, is Punk going to come back out, or what? Like, what's going to happen? Look at that pyro, though, man. Bobby Lashley gets. And there's the name at the bottom, December to Dismember.
And we're not getting a Ciampa Gargano thing here where the signature comes on and we get some more action afterward. That was literally it.
Yep.
Like, I can't describe how frustrating and disappointing and upset we were. We paid $60 a ticket for this, and you're going off the air 30 minutes early after that poop stain of a show. Like, we stayed around and waited for like 10 minutes, like thinking, were they gonna do a dark match? Like, what?
Right.
Like, they can't do that to us. That's against the rules.
Exactly. And I tell you what, I think I was more frustrated with the fact that it ended early than I was with the actual content of the match that night. Because again, watching it back here and talking about it gets me frustrated. But like, I remember this night when we left, like, I still had a great time. I had a great time. I was entertained. I was there with my buddies. Me and you were there together. I mean, it was just, nothing was going to take the fun out of the show for me. You know, like, it wasn't going to, I try to be optimistic. And again, got to see some guys I wasn't normally going to see. ECW came to my hometown. It was just a great feeling. I got to mark out and mark up and dress like CM Punk, and Stevie Richards pointing at my sign. It just, those kind of things were great. But I was just, the match was a stinker, but like, you gypped me of at least 30 minutes of paid time that we paid for, you know? That was the most frustrating thing of the whole thing to me.
Dude, 100%. It's all about the context here.
Yeah.
You know, you can go back and watch this match, which and this pay-per-view, which goes down as one of the worst of all time. Some people say it is the worst WWE pay-per-view ever. It's got one of the lowest buy rates ever. And the match is awful. Or you know, a lot of people talk about it being awful, but you got to have the context for it. If you just watch it, it's just, it's okay. It's, you know, it's not like Botchamania bad.
No.
It's all about the context of it and the show going off the air early and the disappointment with CM Punk and all that stuff. That's where it gets its reputation. But as you said, dude, I still have the poster on my wall. It's still one of my favorite minutes. We still wanted to talk about it here because it is. We had such a blast that night, you know, despite all the crappiness.
Sure.
And part of that was boosted by what happened after the show, our antics after the show that night. As we walk out of the arena, we both took our wrist tape off and threw it in the trash because we were so upset about what happened to CM Punk out there. But, you know, we've been to this arena a few times, and we knew the parking lot of the arena. We knew where the wrestlers went after the show. So we were like, well, let's go see if we can see anybody out there. And, you know, some people may judge us for this. I don't know. I guess we're being major marks by going out after the show. But whatever. We were young, and we wanted to see the guys.
I'd do it again today. For sure. I don't care. Sure. Yeah. No. Don't care.
And we did, man. We saw a few guys out there. I don't remember who we saw first.
We saw a guy we saw earlier in the night. Oh, yeah, I can't remember the chronological order of who we saw, but we saw Balls Mahoney. And this guy was like, I mean, he's like a breath of fresh air the night. It was like if you're just like, you're in a desert just thirsting for a drop of water, he's just like a big old glass of Fiji water just coming at you, man. He was just so refreshing to talk to Balls Mahoney.
I don't know if anyone has ever called Balls Mahoney refreshing until this moment. Right
no,
now.
we're gonna call Balls Mahoney refreshing. He's like, it was just like a gold bond on the day, man. It's just the gold bond to cap off the day.
He was in a great mood. He came out. He was willing to take pictures, sign autographs to anybody. Just a big, toothless smile on his face. Rest in peace to that guy for sure.
Yeah,
it was very sad when he passed because we have a picture of all of us with Balls Mahoney's arms around our neck doing the rock and roll sign with his tongue sticking out of his toothless mouth. Man, that made up for everything crappy that happened on the pay-per-view was Balls Mahoney signing our autographs and taking a picture with us because he's the only guy. A lot of guys came out that night, and some of them waved, some of them just didn't react to us at all. But Balls Mahoney walked into the crowd of 100 people and took a picture with everybody. And I became a huge fan of him until he passed away from that moment right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not to be upstaged by Balls Mahoney, we get another superstar we saw on this night drives up to us, and I can't even tell the story without laughing, dude. You gotta take it from here.
Rene Dupree, ECW superstar Rene Dupree, he rolls up, just trying to get through the crowd of people. Something terrible, something awful like that. And he rolls down the window to us, and we're like, he pulls up to us, our little group of guys. for some reason. And we're like, oh, Rene Dupree, man, can we get a picture with you, man? Can we get an autograph? And he's like, no picture. You guys seen Sabu? He asked us if we'd seen Sabu, which I have a lot of questions about this. Like, just the fact that Sabu
in an ambulance,
right? But Sabu and Rene Dupree were riding buddies,
right? That does not compute.
But we're like, nah, man, we hadn't seen Sabu. Can we get a picture or something? He's like, no. And rolls his window up and drives away, man.
And from December 3rd, 2006, ever since that night, I cannot stand to see that man on my television. What a jerk. We're
What a
just
douche,
a couple of kids, man, just 20-year-olds. And this is not one of those, fishing stories where you tell the tall tale of, oh, it was this long or this. Like, he literally drove up to our group. Like, we were standing right there. He drove right up to us, rolled the window down, and just asked us, like, I'm not making that up. It's insane. And he did that. But then you're just like, no picture. And like, dude, you are not too cool for us. Like,
No.
don't upstage me. Like, don't big shot me. Like, come on, you're Rene Dupree.
You were in the dark match.
Yeah, you should be happy that we're even asking for your picture. Like, you did the French Tickler last year on TV. Like, you are tag team with Kenzo Suzuki earlier this year. Like, shut your mouth. Golly, that guy grinds my gears, man.
Hey, I don't know if he ever found Sabu that night either. But I'll tell you, another guy who was looking for something that night was the Sandman.
He probably should have been with Sabu for what he was looking for.
Yeah, I didn't see this. I don't. Did you see this?
I did not see this interaction. I cannot attest to this.
Chuck and Josh or anything, but apparently Sandman hopped over, like, peeked his head over one of the fences by the arena that they were standing by, and like whistled them over and asked them if he knew anybody he could buy some weed from that night.
I believe it.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah.
But they were not able to assist him since we did not partake in that at that point in our lives. So, unfortunately, he didn't get it from us.
No, he did not get any.
I'm sure he found it somewhere that night.
Yeah, I'm sure. But that's what Renee was looking for, was Sabu and Sandman in their bag of ganja.
Stash.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, just, again, any bad taste that the actual, like, show or the booking left in my mouth was immediately gone. Like, by these interactions with these wrestlers, like, who thought we were going to have this night? It's kind of like when we interacted with Hurricane Helms at Toys R Us Mania. It's unexpected. It's cool. It's neat. And we're telling these stories 13 years later, and I'm laughing as hard now as I did back then, man. It's great.
Yeah, man. If anything felt like original ECW, it was this. Balls Mahoney coming out like a doofus, taking pictures of people, Sabu being lost, and Sandman asking fans for drugs. I mean, this was when we felt the spirit of ECW.
Vince can have the re-ECW in the auditorium there, but yeah, the real ECW is happening on the streets.
Absolutely, man.
I don't know how. That's the best way to end the show. That's all
I guess, man. We did see the Big Show as well out there. He didn't. I think he took did a few autographs with some fans, but he was trying to make his way out of there. Despite our friend Chuck yelling at him constantly, "Big Show, you from Aiken? Hey, yo, Big Show, are you from Aiken?" That was the best thing Chuck could come up with to talk to Big Show about, was, are you from Aiken, South Carolina? Which he is originally from. And Big Show finally looked over at him the 10th time Chuck yelled that at him and was like, "Yes, I'm from Aiken." And just like, Chuck was like, "Okay."
Yeah, just check that off the box. Okay, and I want you listeners at home, if you stuck with us for this long, I want you to remember Chuck and his journalistic questions that he asks, because Chuck is going to come up in our WrestleMania 27 story, And he's got questions maybe even better than Big Show. Are you from Macon?
You know,
so you just hold on to that.
We love Chuck, still our good friend. He just gets a little tongue-tied sometimes. He gets starstruck.
He gets gobsmacked when he sees a star.
He just didn't know. He wanted to talk to Big Show and couldn't come up with anything else to talk to him about, man.
He's like, yeah, I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, he's just like Ricky.
He knew he was from Aiken,
right?
And continued to ask him, "Are you from Aiken?" Like, I don't know where he was gonna go after that.
Yeah, that's
Clearly,
not good improv.
No.
The answer is yes, not yes and. It's just yes.
What's your follow-up to that? Oh, cool. That's about all you can go from.
Yeah, all right, I've been there.
Oh, man.
Seen the horses. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, the whole after show experience, the whole night, just getting to share that with you and with all our buddies that night. I'll never forget it. WrestleMania 20, definitely my favorite wrestling show experience. This is probably number 2, right up next to it, man. A lot of special memories from that. Including my battery on my car being dead when we got back to your apartment after the show. Just another cherry on top of that Sunday of the show. Left my lights on in my truck, so I had to get my car jumped off before I drove home that night. But I'll never forget it, man.
Well, we got home about an hour early, though, so you had plenty of time.
That's true, man.
To get home
a lot earlier than we ever expected. But, we would love to hear from you guys. Did you attend this show as well? Are you also from Augusta? Are you from Aiken out there? Did you watch this one live? Do you share our continued, 13 years later, our continued disgust over this show? Hit us up, man. Let us know what you thought of The Undertaker in ECW. And you know where to find us at Talking Taker on all the social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We love interacting with you guys out there. And we are going to keep this show rolling on to the last ride of The Undertaker's career. We are going to ring in the... Wait a minute. No. We're going to take a pause before we ring in the new year of 2020 and before we ring in the year 2007 and The Undertaker's career with a huge Royal Rumble match. We are actually going to circle back around, continue on this brief break of the Undertaker timeline that we've been on, and we're going to go back and cover from one of the worst matches of all time to one of the absolute best matches of all time that the Undertaker was a part of. He's not a central part of it, but he is in it. We're going to cover the 1992 Royal Rumble match. Something we did not cover in the early days of our show. We're going to circle back around to it here with another watch along. I mean, what more can you say about that match? We're going to try to find something to say about it, but we're going to be completists. We're going to cover it here. We're not going to be better than Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon's commentary. We're just going to provide a different fans analysis of that, and I can't wait, man. I'm very excited to watch that with you next week.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to cover that. And then, like you said, the next week after that, we'll go to the watch-along for Royal Rumble 2007 as we enter into 2020 here in our real timeline. So it's going to be fun. We're just kind of changing things up here at the end of 2019 just to give, a little bit of breathing room for as we head into next year and of Taker's career and next year of, our calendar. So it's going to be fun. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for all your support out there. We don't say it enough. Thank you to everyone who listens to every episode, everyone who picks and chooses and listens to random episode. The fact that you guys listen to us blabber on for 2 hours and share our silly stories, it's incredible. Huge, biggest, tremendous shout out to @Gary Thorpe 12345. Gary has been binging the show. We've talked about him on here a few times. He's caught up to us now. He is listening in real time. I don't know what he's going to do with himself now, but man, Gary, that just means the world to us, man.
It does, man.
It's so cool that you enjoyed it so much, that you listened to every episode this far into it. We encourage you to continue sharing it, folks. Continue to grow this community. We're on the downswing now. We've only got maybe a year's worth of shows left or so. As far as us, we've got 12 years of The Undertaker's career, but it'll only amount to about a year's worth of shows for us. But we're going to keep going on strong. We're going to continue to try to grow this and continue to make it the best podcast we can for all you guys out there. Real quick, did a poll for our previous episodes, the Mr. Kennedy trilogy. You guys voted on that and your favorite match out of those three, our last 3 episodes, and overwhelmingly agreed with us that Armageddon 2006 match was the best Kennedy-Undertaker match. So thanks to all you guys for voting out there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for buying the shirts. Thanks for doing all that you do to make this podcast fun for us. That's what makes it fun, is interacting with all you guys and knowing that you're out there listening and rolling with us. Merry Christmas to you and yours out there, and Happy New Year coming up soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And didn't Randy Turco say something about he appreciated our December pay-per-view analysis, and he agreed with what we kind of said about how they kind of just take the foot off the gas for that?
Man,
time.
There's no perfect distillation of December pay-per-view than this one right here.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. So we covered that here, so thank you for your comments about that. And again, if you were there at the James Brown Arena with us in Augusta, Georgia on December 3rd, 06, let us know. You know, we saw our old friend Chris on the pay-per-view there, and we were talking about it, and I'm sure there's some other folks that were there that we knew and went to school with. But if you were there, let us know. If you had some crazy interactions with Balls Mahoney, or if you were the one that actually gave the Sandman his marijuana afterward, or if you found Sabu, let us know. Let us also know what you feel about Rene Dupree and how he tried to big time us. So,
and seriously, go check out our social media this week. If you don't follow us on all of those, we're going to be posting some really, really fun pictures from 2006. Of the press conference, of the show, of the after show, of all that stuff. Try to get some screenshots of us on the pay-per-view. This is a great week to go find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook if you don't already do that.
Absolutely. Again, if you were there, let us know. If not, tell us what you thought about this, about Undertaker in ECW, and about this particular show. Again, ECW Dismember and this main event. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, like Alex said, Merry Christmas to you, Happy Hanukkah to you, Happy Kwanzaa to you, Happy everything to you, Happy Boxing Day. No, we'll be back on Boxing Day, won't we? No, we'll be back the day after Boxing Day, so we'll get to you Canadians later. But anyway, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, take her easy.
Until tonight, Augusta, Georgia has been best known for Golf's Masters. After tonight, Augusta may forever be infamous for the first ever Extreme Elimination Chamber.